In the dimly lit mess hall of the Voxari battlecruiser _invincible _, a group of young recruits huddled around a table, their chitinous exoskeletons gleaming under the artificial lights. They were fresh from the academy, eager and untested, sharing stories they'd heard about their enemy, humans. "I heard they can only survive in a narrow temperature range," said Trill, her antenna twitching with amusement. "Apparently, they start to die if it gets too hot or cold." Ward, a bulky warrior with reinforced front pincers, clicked dismissively. "They're mostly water. Their bodies rupture if they fall from even moderate heights. How such fragile creatures manage to expand beyond their homeworld is beyond me." The recruits laughed, confidence bolstered by their shared contempt. The Voxari Empire had been at war with the Human Alliance for 3 stellar cycles, and though progress was slower than expected, victory seemed inevitable against such physically inferior opponents. "Their only advantage is their machines," added Plex, the youngest of the group. "Without technology, they're nothing but soft, vulnerable bags of fluid." A heavy silence suddenly fell over the mess hall. The recruits turned to see Commander Drav entering, his battle-scarred exoskeleton bearing the marks of countless engagements. Unlike most Voxari officers who commanded from orbit, Drav led ground assaults personally. He was a legend, the only Voxari to have fought humans in close combat and survived multiple encounters. The commander's compound eyes swept across the room before settling on the group of recruits. With deliberate steps, he approached their table. "Commander Drav," Ward said, standing at attention, "we were just discussing human weaknesses. Were you?" Drav's voice was low, resonating through his thoracic chamber. "And what weaknesses have you identified from your extensive combat experience?" The sarcasm wasn't lost on the recruits. None had yet faced humans in battle. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" asked Trill. Drav nodded, taking a seat at their table. His prosthetic right limb, a replacement for one lost in combat, clicked against the metal surface. "The tactical briefings describe humans as fragile, sir. Slow reflexes, no natural armor, limited sensory capabilities. They seem inferior." Commander Drav was silent for a moment. Then he activated a holographic projector from his wrist device. An image appeared above the table, a human battlefield strewn with Voxari casualties. "The siege of Proxima Colony," he said quietly. "My first command against humans. We outnumbered them 5-1. We had superior weapons, armor, and position." His compound eyes dimmed slightly. "We lost 80% of our forces in 6 hours. The recruits stared at the hologram in disbelief. "But how?" Plex finally asked. "Everything we've been taught is technically correct, but fundamentally wrong," Drav interrupted. "Yes, humans are physically weaker than us in nearly every measurable way. Their bodies break easily. Their reflexes are slower. Their senses are limited." He leaned forward. "And none of that matters." The commander switched the hologram to display footage from a body camera. It showed a human soldier continuing to fight despite a grievous wound that would have incapacitated any Voxari. "We've been fighting humans for 3 cycles, and our military still doesn't understand what makes them dangerous. It's not their technology, though that is formidable. It's something else entirely." The recruits watched, mandibles slack with shock, as Drav cycled through more combat footage. "Humans have a quality we lack," he continued. "When a Voxari is critically injured, our nervous system shuts down to preserve core functions. It's an evolutionary advantage on our homeworld." He pointed to the human in the hologram. "Humans don't shut down, they keep going. Sometimes they fight harder when they should be dying." Ward's antennae twitched skeptically. "But surely that's just isolated incidents, sir." "It's their standard response," Trav countered. "Humans call it adrenaline, a chemical their bodies produce under stress. It allows them to temporarily exceed their physical limitations. There are documented cases of unaugmented humans lifting objects 4 times their body weight when their offspring were threatened." Trill's compound eyes widened. "That's impossible." "There's more," Trav continued. "Humans possess psychological traits that make them uniquely dangerous. When we Voxari face certain defeat, we retreat to preserve our forces, the logical choice. Humans sometimes choose certain death if they believe it will achieve their objective. He switched the hologram to show a human vessel ramming a Voxari capital ship. They call it sacrifice. Their military history is full of examples where smaller human forces defeated superior enemies through what appears to be irrational behavior. They'd willingly accept devastating losses to secure victory. The mess hall had gone completely silent, every Voxari present now listening to the commander. But most dangerous of all is their adaptability. The first time we encountered their tactics, they were effective. The second time, we had countermeasures. By the third engagement, they had already evolved their approach. Drav's voice grew solemn. We adapt over generations through natural selection. Humans adapt overnight through innovation. Plex's mandibles clicked nervously. Why isn't this in our tactical briefing, sir? Drav shut off the hologram. Because our high command refuses to acknowledge that we might have underestimated humans. They believe admitting human strength would damage morale. The commander stood, his scarred exoskeleton creaking slightly. Tomorrow, you'll face humans for the first time at the Bennett colony. Remember what I've told you. Never assume they're defeated until they stop moving completely. Never corner them without leaving an escape route. They're most dangerous when desperate. And never ever underestimate their willingness to sacrifice themselves if they believe in their cause. As he turned to leave, Trill called out, "Commander, how do we defeat an enemy like that?" Drav paused. "We can't, not through conventional warfare. That's what I've been trying to tell High Command for 2 cycles. We don't need better weapons. We need to understand humans better than they understand themselves." His compound eyes dimmed, because right now they understand us perfectly. As the commander departed, the young recruits sat in silence. Their earlier bravado evaporated. They had come to fight what they thought was an inferior enemy. Now they understood they were facing something far more dangerous than their military had prepared them for. An enemy whose greatest strength wasn't physical at all, but the indomitable will to survive against all odds.